didn't get a chance to post this one.
Okay, I think we're live. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully everybody's finding their way to the page and getting ready to see us live, I'm sure, as soon as everybody clicks play or start or whatever. Let me double check my screen here. All right, good morning, Delwyn. Let's see who else is hanging out with us this morning. Bonnie, Janos, Durba. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce your name, but welcome everybody. And today is Saturday morning, June 14th, if you didn't know. And we are, this is a Saturday morning mastermind where you hear every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm here with my good friend Sandy Root. And generally we have a few other folks on here, but Katherine couldn't make it this morning, and Dan, he's still having a little technical difficulties, so he may pop in at any moment. Hopefully that'll work out for him. Anyway, we are studying the book, The New PSYCHO CYBERNETICS by Maxwell Maltz. And if you have been following along with us, that's awesome, because we're about halfway through this book. We're actually in chapter 9 now. But if you're brand new here, that's fine too. We're just going to jump right into this chapter. You can always go back and watch the previous the previous sessions. There'll be a link off to the side of this page in the description area where you can get to the playlist and view every one for the past year, because we've been around doing this for a year now. Actually, I think it's over a year now.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And so anyway, we're all part of the Mindset Mastery Collective, which is a Google Plus community, and you can find that by going to mindsetmasterycollective.com. And, you know, you can share your opinions, talk about what you're thinking as we're going through this material, and just, you know, jump in at any point in time when you have something that you want to add to what we're talking about. And if you'd like to participate on this panel, we'd be happy to have you. There's a pinned post in the Google Plus community where you can just comment on there and let me know that you'd like to participate, and we'd be happy to have you. So anyway, let's see. We're in chapter 9. In chapter 9, oh, before I jump into the chapter, what am I thinking? I don't know. Did I even introduce myself, Sandy?
No, now I'm frozen. Oh, there I am. Okay. So, who are you?
Who am I? That's right. I'm Samantha Studebaker-Carl. I'm coming at you from beautiful Southwest Georgia, and I'm glad you're here. If you're hanging out with us, I'm sure that means that you are dedicated to working on yourself and creating a better version of you, and that's what we're all about here. So, and Sandy, go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm going to go check on Dan here real quick.
Who am I? Okay, hi. I'm silly. I'm Sandy Root, and I'm actually on this beautiful sun deck at my mom's house in New Jersey this morning. And I'm from Brooklyn, but yeah, I'm visiting Mom for a few days. She just had a surgery, and happy to be here with you this morning.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
I know I'm here, but I'm typing.
We see you. No.
Okay, it looks like Dan says he's having some kind of difficulty. The plug-in is acting weird on his computer, and you know what's funny is that you know, I tried to use my other webcam, and it didn't want to work this morning for some odd reason either. So I don't know if Google Hangouts are having an issue, or if it wouldn't make any sense that my camera would just stop working. But whatever, you know, technical difficulties, and we just move on, right? Okay, so let's see. Chapter 9, that's where we're at. And Chapter 9 is all about how to avoid accidentally activating your automatic failure mechanism. And of course, previously we've talked about how you can activate your automatic success mechanism by learning the traits that successful people have and taking those on and creating habits from those. Because what happens is as you are you know, learning these things, then you can actually reprogram your brain to be whatever you want to be. So if you want to be a very successful person, you just need to learn what a successful person does, and then begin taking on those traits and make those traits a habit. Now, we also have learned that over the course of this book that it's not something that happens overnight. You don't just make a decision one day and become successful the next day. It takes time to overcome the things that you've learned up until this point and change them into new positive habits to move you in the direction that you want to go. So in this chapter, of course, we're talking about the things that are the warning signs that will come up in your life and kind of let you know that, and I'm looking down at the book, that's why I'm looking down, the warning signs that will come up and kind of let you know when you begin going in the wrong direction. And as it says, accidentally activating your automatic failure mechanism, because if you fully understand the way that your brain works, is that just like when you learn how to ride a bike, once you learn how to do it, you pretty much will always know how to do it. It's like programmed into your brain that you can do that. Well, when you learn different habits in your life, they're kind of automatically programmed into your brain. And when you want to change those habits to create something new, then as you're going along through that journey, you may kind of fall to the side, or you may go off in this direction or that direction, because you're not quite having reprogrammed into the new habits. And so these warning signs help let you know when you're going off the path. So like right now, let's see here, we are on page 167 with the section, we're about halfway through. Let's see here, insecurity was one of the warning signs that we were kind of talking about. We ended about halfway through that section, and so we can finish that one up for today. Do you want to read, Sandy, or do you want me to?
I'm trying to find the page here. There's Dan. I guess you could start. I'm still trying to find the page. 160.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and start, and then we just switch off or whatever.
Okay.
Okay. So, like I was saying, page 165, and we're at keep your feet on solid ground. Trying to stand on top of a pinnacle is insecure. Mentally, get down off your high horse and you will feel more secure. This is very practical applications. It explains the underdog psychology in sports. When a championship team begins to think of themselves as champions, they no longer have something to fight for, but a status to defend. The champions are defending something, trying to prove something. The underdogs are fighting to do something and often bring about an upset. I used to know a boxer who fought well until he won the championship. In his next fight, he lost the championship and looked bad doing so. After losing the title, he fought well again and regained the championship. A wise manager said to him, "You can fight as well as a champion when you're the contender if you'll remember one thing. When you step into that ring, you aren't defending the championship, you're fighting for it. You haven't got it. You've laid it on the line when you crawl through the ropes." The mental attitude that engenders insecurity is a way. The mental attitude that engenders insecurity is a way. Okay, it is a way of substituting sham and pretense for reality. It is a way of proving to yourself and others your superiority. But it is self-defeating. If you are perfect and superior now, then there is no need to fight, grapple, and try. In fact, if you are caught trying real hard, it may be considered evidence that you are not superior. So don't try. You lose your fight, So you don't try, you lose your fight, or your will to win. Sorry, guys. In business, secure leaders attempt surrounding themselves with a team of individuals wiser, more capable, and often older and more experienced than they are. Insecure leaders surround themselves with yes-men and sycophants. Why? Because the secure leader is engaged in striving to move forward and more concerned with doing what is required than anything else. The insecure leader is more concerned with appearances and fears showing any sign of weakness or incompetence. If you catch yourself behaving as if your automatic failure mechanism has immersed you in a swamp of insecurities and pulled you out covered in slime and stench, you must acknowledge that something smells and it is my own behavior. Then do the things necessary to shower and emerge cleansed. A good soap for your shower is recalibration or goal setting. Let's we want to cover a little bit on that? We talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was reminding me. I've heard, like a lot of leaders in the industry say, they may hit a certain level of income or, they've reached their goal and they sort of feel like, okay, like they sort of lost their oomph, and get to just, I guess, lackadaisical in a way. So this just reminded me of that, to always have a goal to be striving for, will keep us going. We tend to get, stuck in a lazy mode, I guess, if we're not having a goal to go after. And so this just reminded me of that, and to always, have something that we're, I guess, fighting for, so to speak, like the championships. So, yeah, it just reminded me of that. That's it for now.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dan Smith from Boise, Idaho, and I'm a little bit flustered this morning because I've been trying to get on for the last 10 minutes or so, and finally was able to make it on. But so I kind of feel like I'm coming from a little bit behind here. But anyways, I know in my own personal experience in the past that I've had some huge goals in the past, and when I finally hit those goals, then I kind of got stuck for a period of time because, when you're really pushing and striving to be a leader, and you're real goal oriented, and then you finally hit something, unless you immediately reset a goal and you're pushing and striving for a new goal, then it's really easy to get stuck in a place, and sometimes a little bit difficult to get out of it. So anyways, like I said, I kind of feel like I'm trying to get caught up here with where the rest of you guys are at this morning. So I'll turn it back over to you, Samantha.
No problem, Dan. You're right there with us. Good. I wanted to say real quick, welcome to Terry and Deb. See you guys on the page. Thanks for popping in today. I was actually kind of thinking on the on the other side of it, where I was talking about how insecure people surround themselves with yes men and sycophants, and then and secure leaders surround themselves with people who are at a higher level than them, or more knowledgeable than they are. And I think that we see this a lot in different businesses, where you'll see that you have kind of like a dictator type of leader who just is always bossing everybody around, and yet he never listens to anything anybody has to say, always acts like he knows everything, and there's nobody who knows anything better. And I think that most of us can say, just by looking at that situation, that we know that that person's not really going anywhere. They're like trampling all over everyone just to get to wherever it is they're going, and that's not a good long-term method of being successable. Whereas, if we look at Henry Ford, in the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about how Henry Ford it's Henry, right? I thought it was. How he talks about, Henry Ford, he wasn't the smartest man in the world as far as general knowledge, but he was very ingenuitive in the fact that he surrounded himself with people that were extremely much more knowledgeable than he was, so that if he had a question about something, he didn't have to know all that info in his head. He could just hit a button and call somebody and say, hey, tell me what to do about this, and then those people were much more knowledgeable in those areas, and because of that, he was so much more successful than than somebody who is just constantly surrounding themselves with people who are not as knowledgeable just to make themselves feel better. So I think that's a very powerful thing, and I think that we all need to kind of look at our own lives and kind of the people that we surround ourselves with, and think, okay, all these folks that I'm hanging out with, do they have something that I can strive to reach in my life? Are we all kind of or are all of these people not at my level, or am I working with people who are pushing me to become more than what I already am? I think that's a key thing. I struggled with that for a while because I was really insecure, and so it made me feel good to be able to help a lot of people. And not that I don't want to help people, I absolutely do, but I was insecure in myself to the point where I wasn't plugging into people that were more successful than I was. I was, you know, kind of holding myself back, if you will. And it's not really until just recently where I actually am interacting more with people who are a lot more successful. And you know, it's interesting because I was kind of struggling there for a good long while because I think that plays a lot into it. But I don't know. Those are my thoughts on that section.
Quick here.
Yeah.
I think that as a leader, you know, I was just kind of scanning this a little bit again as he was talking there, but as a leader, the leader shouldn't be the person who has to have all the accolades and all the attaboys and the slaps on the back. You know, a real good leader, I mean, it's just my opinion, but a real good leader would be somebody who would give the glory, so to speak, to the team. Give all the attaboys, all the recognition to the team, and the leader should be secure in himself or herself to the point where they don't have to. I mean, it's nice to have, but they don't necessarily have to have all the back slaps and gee, you're a great person and all that type of stuff. That really a good leader would actually pass on the praise to the team. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to add that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. I completely agree with you on that. And I think that is kind of key is as a leader is to recognize the people that have more knowledge in some areas and other people that have more knowledge in other areas, and I think that's awesome. Okay, so let's jump into the next section. One of you want to read? Or you want me to just go?
I can read.
Okay.
Loneliness. All of us are lonely at times. Again, it is a natural penalty we pay for being human and individual. But it is the extreme and chronic feeling of loneliness, of being cut off and alienated from other people, that is the work of the automatic failure mechanism. This type of loneliness is caused by an alienation from life. It is a loneliness from your real self. Those who are alienated from their real self have cut themselves off from the basic and fundamental contact with life. Lonely persons often set up a vicious cycle. Because of the feeling of alienation from self, human contacts are not very satisfying, and they become social recluses. In doing so, they cut themselves off from one of the pathways to finding themselves, which is to lose themselves in social activities with other people. Doing things and enjoying things with other people helps us to forget ourselves. In stimulating conversation, in dancing, in playing together, or in working together for a common goal, we become interested in something other than maintaining our own shams and pretenses. As we get to know the other fellow, we feel less need for pretense. We unthaw and become more natural. The more we do this, the more we feel we can afford to dispense with the sham and pretense and feel more comfortable just being ourselves. Loneliness is a way that doesn't work. Loneliness is a way of self-protection. Lines of communication with other people, and especially any emotional ties, are cut down. It is a way to protect our idealized self against exposure, hurt, humiliation. The lonely personality is afraid of other people. Lonely persons often complain that they have no friends and there are no people to mix with. In most cases, they unwittingly arrange things in this manner because of their passive attitude that it is up to other people to come to them to make the first move to see that they are entertained. It never occurs to them that they should contribute something to any social situation. Regardless of your feelings, force yourself to mix and mingle with other people. After the first cold plunge, you will find yourself warming up and enjoying it if you persist. Develop a social skill that will add to the happiness of other people. Dancing, bridge, playing the piano, tennis, conversation. It is an old psychological axiom that constant exposure to the object of fear immunizes against the fear. As lonely persons continue to force themselves into social relations with other human beings, not in a passive way, but as active contributors, they gradually find that most people are friendly and that they are accepted. Their shyness and timidity begin to disappear. They feel more comfortable in the presence of other people and with themselves. The experience of their acceptance enables them to accept themselves. The top executive who allows herself to become isolated in her ivory tower will soon inevitably find herself with the personal belongings from her office in the trunk of her car, her final check in hand, outside looking in. The high and mighty topple through isolation. The man who insulates himself from the riskiness of relationships and work alone will one day awaken to the shocking fact that he has no reason to work. Isolation and loneliness are forces that destroy kings and presidents as well as mere mortals. It was said of President Nixon's White House as the Watergate scandal unfolded that a bunker mentality consumed him. He sought security through increasing isolation. Compare his behavior to, say, that of Lee Iacocca at the helm of Chrysler, his ship full of holes, in imminent danger of financial capsizing. Instead of retreating into isolation, living with only his mounting crisis in a dark room alone, he marched into the public eye as never before, cajoling, negotiating, selling, and organizing Wall Street, Washington, and the buying public, and leading a dramatic corporate turnaround. When you are tempted by aloneness, you must substitute aliveness. Think of the wonderful painting given to me as a gift by Salvador Dali, in which he depicted PSYCHO CYBERNETICS as a steadfast ship choosing to sail toward the light, rather than remain in a dark but arguably safer harbor. While you cannot stub your toes standing still in the dark, you cannot escape a burning building. Yet the refreshing drink in the refrigerator or otherwise achieve anything by standing safe and still in the dark either. We must rise above loneliness by engagement, move out of isolation toward involvement, even risk criticism and confrontation to seek opportunity and improvement.
You know, this section really, really hit home with me because, you know, for most of my life, I have been, I'm not going to say I was lonely, because I'm not a lonely person. I'm just a introverted person. But because a lot of the stuff that it was talking about in here, about, you know, cutting yourself off from interaction with other people, and not, and setting yourself up to be cut off from other people, is something I did for a lot of years. And I, of course, I chalked it up to, okay, I'm shy, I'm not very outgoing, and that kind of thing. But the truth is it was, I look back at my life and I know that it was just because I was uncertain about myself in new relationships with other people. And over this past couple of years of beginning interacting with people online and doing home business and online business and that sort of thing, I've realized that there are so many more people out there that I thoroughly enjoy having interaction with, and that and I realized a lot of what I missed out on, because of my kind of just self-absorbedness, if you will. I don't even know, but I know that a lot of people that are more introverted probably struggle with that a little bit, because we're so wrapped up in what's going on in our own heads that a lot of times that we don't allow for other people to be a part of that. And it's not that we don't want to, but it's a lot of just not always knowing how to relate with other people. And and I think that this is really interesting, where it was talking about developing a social skill that will add to other people's happiness. And one of the things that I started doing online, and it isn't so much a social skill, but it was just sharing my knowledge with other people. And because I was able to do that, it kind of had other people connect with me, and then I began connecting with more people, and it just kind of gradually grew over time. And and then the other thing that it talks about was just kind of forcing yourself to get in those social situations. And that's another reason why I started this Saturday morning mastermind, because I knew if I made a commitment to get on here and interact with other people, that would increase my socialization skills, that I would make it so that I could be more outgoing and just add to that side of my life that I've been missing out on a lot. And and the thing is that that just in the past, I don't know, in the past few months, I've realized so much of what I've held myself back from all these years. And I don't know, it's definitely enlightening. And sometimes these little chapters, they pop up and they're like, smack you in the face and go, see? That's all I had to say on that for right now. Morning, Kay, by the way, I just saw you jumped on.
Well, we talk a lot about programming. Part of the reason why, personally, why I've read PSYCHO CYBERNETICS for years and years now is to learn how to program myself, program my own thinking. From my early childhood, well, my last name's Smith, and so my family, growing up, all my life, I heard, well, the Smiths are quiet. The Smiths don't say much. And, from very early childhood, and I think that most children do this, but, when you're in a social situation and the little kids, they kind of duck behind their parents or whatever when they're meeting somebody new, and then the parents have a tendency to say, oh, he's shy, or she's shy, or she's embarrassed, or he's embarrassed, whatever. And not really realizing that the things that we say and the impact that they might have on a child. So all my life, like I said, I grew up hearing that the Smiths are quiet, and that is really, in my own personal family, that is kind of the way that it is. For the most part, most of the Smiths on my side of the family are really quiet people. And so in a sense, I was programmed towards that. Samantha, I can 100% identify with what you're talking about as just being an introvert, because that's what I was all of my life. And I mean, when I was a teenager, I'd go to a party, but I was the guy back in the corner, and I knew that I had a wall on two sides of me, and so I was protected on two sides, so to speak. And so if I had to fight or whatever, I'm only facing one front, so to speak. So really, that's been a struggle for me all of my life. Like I said, being programmed, having a natural tendency towards. That's not so much that I'm a lonely person. I'm really not a lonely person, but I can tend, unless I fight natural inclination, to just be alone most of the time, and I'm perfectly comfortable with that. And so really, coming out of my shell, this business actually, I originally got involved with network marketing clear back in the early 70s and mid 70s, and this business actually forced me to get out of my comfort zone just to meet people. And you remember the old telephones that you had to stick your finger in a little hole and dial the phone, and it took you 5 minutes. It felt like just to dial a telephone number. I'd be dialing leads or whatever, and literally the room would turn dark and be spinning, and I would think, I'm going to pass out. And that's how scared that I was. So I can 100% identify with everything that you're saying, Samantha. And really, honestly, when I contacted you and asked you if you'd mind if I started getting onto these calls, it was for the purpose of forcing myself out of my own personal comfort zone, just to reach out to other human beings and be a part of society. So anyway, yeah. And then one sentence that really stood out in what Sandy was reading is, it is an old psychological axiom that constant exposure to the object of fear immunizes, against the fear. And the old thing, do the thing that you fear, and the death of fear is certain. And so, yeah, really, that's what I'm doing here is just overcoming my own personal tendencies to be totally, self-absorbed or whatever. So I'll hand it over to you, Sandy.
Yeah, I resonate with all of this too, what you guys are saying, because many of you know I was painfully shy as a child too. So there was one line, I forget what it said, something about entertaining. Oh, here it is. In most cases, blah 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 blah. It is up to other people to come to them to make the first move to see that they are entertained. That makes me laugh because. I feel like that's how I was. Like, other people are here to entertain me. I don't have anything to input. I don't have, I'm not here to entertain. I was just very much an observer, and I picked friends who were entertaining because I just wanted to sit and do nothing and not, and be shy and not put in my contribution and be entertained by them. That was what I did, and so that's. Funny to see that written down. I guess it's a common thing. So, but yeah, now it's much different. I'm into entertaining as well now and being a part of the mix much more than I used to be, and a lot of that is due to being part of an online business and really reading books like this and putting myself out there. So I'm a complete 180 turn from where I used to be. So it feels good, and yeah, it can be scary at first, but once you do it, like the book is saying, just that fear, just put yourself out there. It's worth it, and you'll feel better. You grow as a person, and I still love being entertained and watching and observing, but now I can do both, so it's awesome. That's it for now.
This is such a great topic because I know we all kind of resonate with this, and just getting outside of our comfort zone is such a huge thing, and of course it won't happen unless you take that first step and you do it. You just go out there and do it. And we've all done that. And if any of you out there are feeling kind of the same way of what we're talking about, reach out to us. We'll bring you on here and you can start participating in this. We aren't going to put you on the spot and be like, you have to talk for 20 minutes straight. You can jump in whenever you feel like adding something. So and by the way, hey Rose, I just saw you pop on there too. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the next section of uncertainty. You want to read this, Dan, or? We can't hear you.
I say, yeah, I'll give it a try if nobody will laugh at me. So.
Get over here.
Uncertainty. Philosopher Albert Hubbard said, the greatest mistake a man can make is to be afraid of making one. Uncertainty is a way of avoiding mistakes and responsibility. It is based on the fallacious premise that if no decision is made, nothing can go wrong. Being wrong holds untold horrors to the person who tries to conceive of himself as perfect. He is never wrong and always perfect in all things. If he were ever wrong, his picture of perfect, all-powerful self would crumble. Therefore, decision-making becomes a life or death matter. One way is to avoid as many decisions as possible and prolong them as much as possible. Another way is to have a handy scapegoat to blame. This type of person makes decisions, but she makes them hastily, prematurely, and is well known for going off half-cocked. Making decisions offers her no problem at all. She is perfect. It is impossible for her to be wrong in any case. Therefore, why consider facts or consequences? She is able to maintain this fiction. I find it interesting they use the word she in this section. So anyway, she is able to maintain this fiction when her decision backfire. It applies to men too, simply by convincing herself that it is someone else's fault. It is easy to see why both types fail. One is continually in hot water from impulsive and ill-considered actions. The other is stymied because he will not heed. There we go. He will not act at all. In other words, the uncertainty way of being right doesn't work. Nobody is right all the time. Realize that it is not required that a person be 100% right at all times. It is in the nature of things that we progress by acting, making mistakes, and correcting course. A guided torpedo arrives at its target literally by making a series of mistakes and continually correcting its course. You cannot correct your course if you are standing still. You cannot change or correct nothing. You must consider the known facts. In a situation, imagine possible consequences of various courses of action. Choose one that seems to offer the best solution and bet on it. You can correct your course as you go. Consider some of today's most successful actors. Kevin Costner. Do you recall the film Waterworld? Tom Hanks, a film called Joe and the Volcano. We could go down the list. Every Oscar winner, every Hollywood powerhouse has at least one such epic mistake on their resume. More significantly, consider all the endeavors in which even the most successful participants are wrong more than they are right. Coaching a football game and calling plays, or playing quarterback and executing them. In most games, the victor has stacked up many more unsuccessful plays than successful ones. Managing an investment portfolio, typically more stocks in the basket, may go down than go up. But those that do go up produce significant or sufficient gains for the overall profit. Or drilling for oil, developing advertisements. In most environments, victors are certainly not right 100% of the time, often not even 50% of the time. One of the most successful entrepreneurs I ever met, who brought 18 very successful new products to market in the space of a few years, and took his company from near zero to over $200 million in worth by the age of 38, remarked that few take note of the hundreds of other products he brought to the market in the same time frame, all of which failed miserably. He describes his secret to success this way: I fell forward faster. In the world of mail order, two of the legends are Ted Nicholas and Joseph Sugarman. Ted Nicholas is perhaps best known for a full-page advertisement that made his self-publishing book, How to Form Your Own Corporation Without a Lawyer, a million-copy bestseller. For a number of years, you cannot open a business or financial publication, even an airline magazine, without seeing that ad, as well as many others. For Ted's other books and products, however, Ted freely admits that for every profitable ad he created 8 or more that, when tested, flopped. Joseph Sugarman was the first mail-order entrepreneur to accept credit cards or order by phone using a toll-free 800 number. He made his first fortune selling electronic gadgets with full-page advertisements and was the first to sell a pocket calculator by mail order. More recently, he made a giant success out of the blue blocker sunglasses. When Mr. Sugarman lectures, he delights in telling one story after another of his biggest mistakes, the products that he invested in that proved unsellable, the advertisements that he developed and placed with the highest hopes that did not produce. In their businesses, these men live uncertainty and dare not require being right the majority of the time. Only little men are never wrong. Another help in overcoming uncertainty is to realize the role that self-esteem and the protection of self-esteem play in indecisiveness. Many people are indecisive because they fear loss of self-esteem. If they are proved wrong, use self-esteem. They fear loss of self-esteem if they are proved wrong. Use self-esteem for yourself instead of against yourself by convincing yourself of this truth. Big men and big personalities make mistakes and admit them. It is the little man who is afraid to admit that he has been wrong. This, of course, applies equally to women. Do we want to stop there, or do you want to keep going?
Yeah, let's go ahead and just finish this section, and then we'll just talk about the whole section.
Success through the process of elimination. I've enjoyed reading Arthur Conan Doyle's tale of the great detective Sherlock Holmes' exploits. Holmes' trusty helpmate, Dr. Watson, a man of fine qualities but woefully little imagination, is frequently befuddled and amazed as Holmes disappears into his own imagination and emerges with the solution of the most mystifying of crimes. In his imagination, Holmes engages in a pedantic, dogged process of elimination, ultimately arriving at the one best conclusion, that he cannot eliminate. Then that becomes his target, engaging all of his powers of his automatic success mechanism in uncovering the clues, facts and evidence that prove it true, meaning he arrives at the target. A lesser detective would instead remain mired in the massive difficulty of the task and the confusing, even conflicting testimonies, thus engaging his automatic failure mechanism instead of his automatic success mechanism. It is also worth noting that Holmes is willing to be wrong, and when his first attempts at the proclamations of deduction prove far off course, he does not collapse in embarrassment or humiliation or give control over to frustration and aggression, nor does he retreat into isolation. He virtually shrugs off his mistakes and quickly refocuses, zigging and zagging his way toward the ultimate objective. Thomas Edison's wife once observed that Mr. Edison worked endlessly on a problem using the method of elimination. If a person asked him whether he were discouraged because of so many attempts proved unavailing, he would say, "No, I'm not discouraged, because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward." If outcomes were preordained and certain, no one would play a game, nor would thousands of spectators tune into a television to watch it contested. We must learn to embrace the short-term uncertainties of the game while staying connected to the targets we choose and trusting that we will achieve our overriding objectives, albeit by zigging and zagging rather than a straight line. Reassure yourself that you are not your mistakes, so that you can freely acknowledge them, extract whatever useful feedback can be found in them, correct course, and continue moving forward.
I think this is a powerful section, particularly when we're talking to people in the home business industry, because a lot of times people are afraid to, either try something different as far as a business opportunity goes, or to try a different advertising method, or something along that lines, because of course they've had failures in the past, so they fear doing something different in the future. And the thing is that if you've had failures in the past, then you've learned something, and if you can take that knowledge and be like, okay, well, this is what I learned in this previous thing, and now I'm going to take that knowledge and move forward in my life, and I don't know about you guys, but I've been in a lot of different home business opportunities over the years, and from each one I learned something, either A, about myself that I needed to work on, or B, about my way of doing business, and some things I figured out, okay, well, this is not for me. It wasn't going to work for me. It didn't go the way I expected. I don't have what it takes to make that happen, or whatever. I need to work on these things before I can do this kind of business, whatever it is. And it has taken some time to get to the point where I actually was having some level of success, and in the past couple of years has been my greatest success ever since I've been in home business. But I know that I still have things that I need to work on. I know that, I'm not going to be perfect all the way from this point forward. I still am working on those things. I still have to work on the blocks that are inside of me. I have to overcome some of the fears that I have on, spending money on advertising, or upgrading to, higher levels in a program, or, and things like that. But I know that when I work on myself, that I get I get more confidence, and I know that okay, if I do this, then it's up to me to make this successful, and if I can do that, then I move one step forward, and he was talking about here is that the greatest mistake a man can make is to be afraid of making one. And if we're afraid to make a mistake, then we're just holding ourselves back from any potential success that we might have, because if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change. And if you take a step and at least go toward your dreams, even if you do make a mistake, you've made that step. You've learned something new. You've tried something different. You've determined whether or not that's a path that you personally are going to be successful on. And then, and just keep doing that until you grow as a person enough so that you can have the success that it is that you want. So those are my thoughts on that right there. Let's see. I'm going to read through some of these other things. I underlined a whole bunch of stuff in here as we were kind of going along. let's see. Oh, okay, so if we're kind of still talking on that, where it says that you cannot change or correct nothing, you must consider the known facts in a situation, imagine the possible consequences of various courses of action, choose one that seems to offer the best solution, and bet on it. And then you can correct your course as you go. And that's kind of, again, that with us being in the home business industry, that's exactly it. You know, it's like right now I started working with a new company, and you know, and part of it was because I knew I was going to be able to plug into this group of leaders that I would be able to be really close with and have that interaction. Like I was kind of saying before, you know, my previous time, I was kind of withholding myself. Yeah, I was having some success, but I wasn't plugging in and you know, really getting close with a mentor, as they tell you to do. They say, you know, find a mentor and do what they tell you, exactly what it is that they tell you to do. Well, I wasn't entirely doing that. You know, I was uncertain about being that close with somebody, you know, about them holding me accountable, if you will. I mean, they weren't, but it was me and my uncertainty and all of my what's the fear of failing or fear of not following through. That was a big one. And so I had this fear that if I connect with somebody who is really successful and I didn't follow through, that they're going to think less of me, right? Well, you know, it was necessary for me to go through that growth period and then step into this new situation so that, you know, I could feel confident in myself enough to be like, no, I got this. I can make this happen. I can be the successful person that I know that I am, you know, but that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't made all these mistakes up until now. So those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Let's see.
You want to go ahead, Sandy?
Okay.
Yeah, I just stepped away for a little bit, so I'm a little lost at the moment. Listen.
One of the things that really stands out to me, that failure to make a decision is a decision, but it's a poor decision. And you know, this section really speaks to me a lot too, kind of like the last section did, really. But you know, we learn from our mistakes, and you know, I was a painter for 36 years, but I became a good painter over the years. But it was only because I made a lot of mistakes early on. You know, I got a lot of runs in my paint and had to go back and sand them out. And I finally come to the conclusion that what makes a good painter is he knows how to make his own mistakes look good, or how to fix his own mistakes. So there was a quote. I'm trying to remember exactly how it goes. It was the president of IBM, and he says, would you like me to give you the formula for success? It's quite simple, really. Double your rate of failure. If you're thinking of failure as, I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly how it goes, and I should, but it's only because I'm on the spot here right now. But anyway, his point is that you can learn from failure and you can become better from it, or if you're not willing to fail, then you're a failure, so to speak, you know. And like I taught myself how to do woodwork, and I can look at some of the pieces that I made really early on. I had really lousy tools. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had a desire to build like cabinetry and that type of thing. And so I began putting things together, and some of my first stuff was really rough. I mean, it really was rough, and it looked terrible. And actually, some of those pieces I still use today. But then I can look at some of the pieces that I made just a few years ago, after I'd been failing my way forward for over 20 years, building different types of furniture and that type of thing. And I can look at those pieces and I can say, wow, I'm really proud of what I did, because they look good, or at least in my opinion they look good. And so I can really see the difference between the first pieces of furniture that I made and the furniture that I made, you know, after doing it off and on for 20-25 years. And you know, the thing is like, I can relate to a pile of wood and a table saw, or I can relate to 100 gallons of paint and an airless. And if I make mistakes, you know, if you grab a piece of wood and you cut it too short, then you just go find another piece of wood. and you cut that to the proper length. Or if you get a big run in your paint, you get some sandpaper out, and you sand the thing off, and you repaint over the top of it, and you can make it look good. But in all honesty, when I first got involved with the home-based industry, home-based business industry back in the mid-'70s, and as I said earlier, I was so shy, and it was so hard for me to talk to people, that when somebody told me, no, I'm not interested in your business, I didn't just hear the word, no, I'm not interested in your business. I heard, no, you're an idiot. No, I can't believe you're trying to sucker me into this deal. No, I can't believe that, that you fell for this, or whatever. It was devastating to me. The word no just absolutely crushed me. And I mean, nobody wants to be crushed, right? I mean, don't we have the tendency when you're being hurt, don't we run for cover? I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, Samantha, kind of like you said, that you've been in business after business after business. Well, I have too, but each time you learn a little bit. And even the painting business I ran for 26 years, if I'd not gotten into the home-based business industry really early on, quite honestly, I'm not even sure I could have ran my painting business all those years, because I was so shy. It was so hard for me to talk to people. And so there's more ways to grow from being involved with a business like this than just financial. You grow mentally, you grow spiritually, you grow emotionally, and you grow through your mistakes. And yeah, we're always falling down. No, we're never 100% right, and you always strive to be. But the fact is, we're human and we're fallible, and we're not always right, and we do make mistakes. So there's John Maxwell book that the name of the book is Failing Forward, and it's an excellent book. And there's a little section in there. He talks about a class that an art teacher had, and he split the art class into two groups. In the first group, he told them that they were going to be graded on just production. It didn't care if it was good or not. Whatever they got done, they was going to weigh it at the end of the class, and whoever had the most weight was going to win or get an A. And the other half of the class that was split up, he told them, you're only going to have to produce one piece of sculpture, but it has to be perfect. And we're talking like clay pots and things sculpted out of clay. And so the first class, they got after it because they were going to be graded on production. So they just got in there and they started making mistakes, and they made lousy stuff, and each thing got a little bit better and a little bit better, but they were just putting out production, just getting it out really fast. And then the second class, they stood around, and they scratched their chin, and they thought about it, and they walked around it, and they drew pictures of it, and they got ready, and they got ready, and they got ready. And at the end of the class, the class, or at the end of the semester, whatever it was, the class who had been graded on production, their stuff was really good, even though their first stuff was not that great, but they just put out a lot of it, and they got better, and they got better, and they got better. And the class that was graded on perfection never really did anything, because they were sitting around getting ready to get ready in order to build their one masterpiece. So really the lesson is, and this is a lesson to me, I'm pointing at myself in this case, is to go out and make mistakes, and take the no's, take the hurt, take the resentment, take whatever, but to fail your way forward, take another step. When you get, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, but at least you're gaining 1 step. So anyway, I'll turn it over to somebody else.
You back, Sandy?
Yeah, I'm out of the loop now.
I know you fall off there.
My aunt disconnected the thing by accident. No, I don't really know what was going on right now.
I know it gets confusing when you fall off and lose your train of thought and all of that, but I think that the biggest key in this section really is, you know, it has this section here where it talks about Thomas Edison, and he says, no, I am not discouraged because every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward. And, you know, and then this other part down here where it says, reassure yourself that you are not your mistakes, so you can freely acknowledge them, extract whatever useful feedback can be found in them, correct course, and continue moving forward. And I think that that is, you know, that pretty much wraps it up right there. Is want to achieve whatever it is that you want to do, is that the only way to get there is by making mistakes. You can't just go from, you know, 0 to 100, you know, without going through 1 through 99, right? You know, I mean, you've got to go, you've got to take those steps. And you know, a couple of years ago, I was actually studying up on investing in the stock market, and you know, it was interesting that they kind of talked about that in here, because, you know, when I was learning about that, what they told you is that, you know, 9 out of 10 of your trades are going to go bad. But that one trade that goes good is going to make up for all those other trades that went bad. And, you know, and that holds true for so many things in life. And like what Dan was talking about in his painting business, and how, you know, he learned to do it over time, and he got better and better and better. And yeah, he made some mistakes here or there, but he learned how to fix those mistakes. And it was that knowledge of, you know, fixing what you kind of messed up on and making it as good as it can be, and just each time doing better and better. I mean, that's the key. That's the way to get to success. And, you know, there isn't anybody out there who we see in the world who is really, really successful, who has made a lot of big money. You know, I mean, if we're talking about Robert Kiyosaki or what's that other guy's name? The blonde guy, I forget what his name is. But anyway, I mean, you know, what'd you say?
Donald Trump?
Yeah, that's the guy. You know, every time I see him in my head, I see this like comb over thing. All I remember about him is that picture of him. Well, there's this like picture of him and Robert Kiyosaki on one of the books that they wrote together, and that, I don't know. Anyway, that cracks me up. But the point is that, you know, even the most successful people have made some kind of mistakes in their life, and a lot of mistakes, most likely, because, I mean, you can't become really successful. You can't become a millionaire if you haven't done some $10,000 business deals and some, you know, $100 business deals and $20,000 business deals. I mean, you've got to take those baby steps till you learn what it is you need to know in order to reach the goals that you're ultimately going after. So, I don't know. That's all my thoughts on this section for now. And unless you guys want to add anything else before we wrap it up, we're right at the top of the hour. Any final thoughts? Nope. Good to go. All right, guys. Well, I hope that you found this discussion really helpful. We covered quite a bit of you know, different things in here, particularly when we were on the section of loneliness, and we were talking about shyness and putting yourself out there, and then also in this section about insecurity and just not being afraid to make mistakes. You know, that's a key thing. If you're afraid to make mistakes, if you don't make a choice to do something, then you're choosing to do nothing. You know, and that's not going to get you anywhere. So with that, guys, I'm going to wrap this up today. If you would like to add to the discussion, then by all means, jump over to our Google Plus community at mindsetmasterycollective.com. Add your thoughts, invite your friends. If you would like to participate on the panel, there's a pinned post in that community where you can just let me know you would like to participate, and I can get connected with you, and you can come jump on here next week, and we can have more of a discussion, and you can add to it. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Everybody have an awesome, amazing, wonderful, super Saturday and the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you again here next week on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.